Hey guys, I'm Marissa and welcome back to my channel. Here on my channel we talk all about money and life and especially budgeting because I absolutely love budgeting. And today I'm doing a mock budget for a $100,000 annual income. But before we get into it, I want to let you guys know the budget template that I will be using is actually one that you can get yourself on my shop. I will have a link to it in the description box down below. It's a more extended version of what I'm showing you today, but for the purpose of just this mock budget, I have it shrunk down a little bit for ease. But again, you can check that out with the link in the description box. Also, here on my channel, I share our personal household budget, so if you're interested in checking that out, you can check out that playlist with the link in the description box, and I'll also leave it in the card up above. So today I'm showing you a $100,000 annual income mock budget. And I first want to say that the budget that I'm going to show you is what I would personally do if this was my income level. Obviously, this can totally vary person to person depending on your circumstances, your lifestyle, and your goals. So please just know that and take that with a grain of salt. And also know that budgets are totally flexible. So what I'm showing you, you can maybe use as like a structure, but then be able to customize it to fit you personally, which is really important. But I will also say that budgeting off of percentages is really what's most important because the more you make, the more you can spend on certain things in your budget. So a lot of this budget is mostly built off of percentages. And so these are just suggestions and a framework or a tool that you can use to create your own budget if this is your income level. Also, if this isn't your exact income level, I'm doing a whole series here sharing budgets at different income levels. So if you want to find a video that's more relevant to your income level, I will have a link to that playlist in the description box down below and also in the card up above. All right, so let's get into this budget. The first section that we have here is income, and we have one line item here for income with one amount. And for my personal budget, I have my husband's income and my income as our own line items so that I can track all of our different income streams. So you can do that however you'd like, but for the sake of this mock budget, I have it here as just one line item. So we have $6,400 as the assumed take-home pay for an annual income of $100,000. So obviously you're going to be paying taxes off of your income and you're not going to take home $100,000 a year because of that. Obviously taxes are going to vary depending on where you live and also what your tax circumstance may be. So this is totally an estimate. It may be different for you personally, but for the sake of this budget example, we're going to use $6,400 as kind of maybe what your take-home pay would be if you made $100,000. So we use a zero-based budget, which means all of our income equals all of our money out, which are expenses and savings and debt. And so we want to have every dollar assigned a name. This is also super important because we can also therefore ensure that we're not spending more money than we're actually bringing home. So to get started, we'll look at normal expenses first. The first expense that we have here is giving at $640 or 10%. So this, like I said, this is a budget that I would make for me personally if this was my income level. And for my husband and I, giving has always been super important for us in our budget, and we've always given 10% no matter our income level. So I have this here in our budget. Obviously, if this isn't applicable to you and this isn't important, then you can totally customize your budget to however you need it to be to fit your lifestyle and your desires. So you can take that money and put it elsewhere or maybe reduce it or whatever that may be. But for us personally, we would leave in 10% for giving. Next we have is mortgage, or I should also say mortgage or rent. And we have this at $1,600, which is 25% of take home. So this is that one percentage that's really important to try and stick to, is 25 to, I would say, no more than 30% of your take home pay to be going towards rent or mortgage payment. And that's because you don't want to become house poor. If you're spending too much money on rent or your mortgage, you're therefore not going to be able to spend as much on enjoying parts of life with like fun parts of money and also working on your financial goals, which is really important. So being able to stick to about 25 to, again, no more than 30% of your take-home pay on a rent or mortgage payment is very important. And that's again where this whole percentage part of budgeting is so important and it comes in handy here. So we have $1,600 to be rent or mortgage for that $100,000 income. Next we have is utilities, and we have this line item to be $480. And this is 7.5% of the budget. And utilities would include things like water, garbage, sewer, electricity, natural gas, phone and internet, all those sorts of utility bills that you may incur through the month. So the total of all of those could be around $480. Now you can definitely list these out individually in your budget, and that's what we do personally. I have a line item for electric, a line item for natural gas, and so on. But for the combination of all of them, it could be around $480. The next line item that we have is insurance, and that is also at $480 or 7.5%. And this would be things like health insurance, car insurance, and life insurance. So for my husband and I, our health insurance is actually deducted out of our paycheck, like our premiums for health insurance deducted out of our paychecks. So you will not see that in our individual budgets because I'm using my household budget off of our take-home pay, and our health insurance premiums get taken out before our take-home pay. So you will see car insurance and life insurance in our budgets though. So about $480 for health, life, and car, and any other sorts of additional insurance that you may have. Next we have is groceries, and we have this at $480 or 7.5%. Honestly, I feel like this is a little bit high depending on what your family size is. So my husband and I, we are a family of two. We are currently a family of two as I'm filming this video, but I think when it goes out, we should hopefully be a family of three as I'm 35 weeks pregnant and trying to get ahead on videos. But for us, as being a family of two, we have been able to spend about $250 to $300 a month on groceries, and that has seemed super doable. We still are able to eat well and enjoy ourselves. We also go out to eat maybe 2 or 3 times a month, so most of the food that we consume is groceries at home. So I definitely think that this number, depending on your family size, again, could be lower. The next line item that we have is transportation or gas, and we have this at $480, also 7.5%. So this would be things like gas for your car, any sort of car maintenance, as well as like a bus pass or things like that, if that would be applicable. Honestly, $480 feels a little bit high for this category. My husband and I spend about $150 a month on gas for our cars. We also put $75 a month into a car maintenance fund so that we can save up for any sort of car repairs that may come up. But other than that, we don't have any other transportation costs. So this is another one of those things that you could reduce and may fit in with your lifestyle. The next line item that we have is for fun or entertainment at $320 or 5%. And things that you would put to this would be like eating out, and also like going to the movies or going to a concert or any sort of thing that brings you joy in your family. Obviously, if you're working on accomplishing a big financial goal like saving or paying off debt, this is one of those line items that can be reduced so that you can put more towards your financial goals. Again, budgets are totally customizable to you and your circumstance and your goals, and I will show you a little bit more of that later as we'll break down how you can really utilize this budget to maximize working on your financial goals. But we have $320 here. The next line item that we have is miscellaneous, which is also $320 or 5%. It's so important to have a miscellaneous category in your budget because there's always going to be something that comes up that was unexpected, that you weren't initially anticipating, and having a line item for it to have money set aside to be spent on something you weren't anticipating is a huge budget saver. So definitely always include a miscellaneous category. When my husband and I were first married, when we were living in an apartment, we had very few household expenses. So instead of having a household line item, we would just put things like toilet paper or paper towels and things like that to this miscellaneous category, as well as if I needed some CoverGirl mascara or something really small, we'd put that here as well. So instead of having a bunch of really small budget line items, we would instead just put it to miscellaneous, and if something got to be too big that we thought we should have its own category for, then we'd just make our own line item for it if we were expecting it constantly enough. So $320 to go to miscellaneous. So the total for all of these normal expenses in this budget is $4,800. So now to look into savings, because that's another very important part of budgeting. So I have this line item here as saving or paying off debt, because this is kind of whatever your financial goal is that you're currently working on, whether that's saving for an emergency fund or paying off some debt or working on saving more for retirement. The amount that you'd want to put towards this goal could be around $1,280 or 20% of your budget. If you have debt payments that exceed this amount, then obviously there's going to need to be things that you cut out of your budget up above so that you can put more towards this goal. And again, we'll talk about that here, and I'll show you how you can do that real quick. And then the next line item that we have is personal spending, and we have this at $320 or 5% of the budget. So this is a line item that you can spend however you want with this money. This is like your free-for-all spending. So my husband and I have this in our budget, and this has definitely grown over time. When we were initially married and making very little, we each got $25 a month of personal spending money. We now each get $100, and that feels like plenty. And that way we can spend money on whatever we want. We don't need each other's permission. We can just spend how we want. So oftentimes I will spend on like going to Starbucks, or maybe getting myself like a new outfit or something that isn't a necessity. I also really like having this in the savings line item part of the budget template, and I'll show you why if you're interested in like looking at this budget template a little more. We have this actual column, so you can put in how much you actually put to savings, and it then calculates the ending balance for that fund. So you can see we have $320, and then you can copy the ending balance from this month and put it to the beginning balance of next month, and that way the funds can roll over every month and you can see how much you have in this fund. So I like doing this because I'm therefore able to save up to spend more on a larger item, like a set of AirPods that I bought myself last year. So that is how we're able to use our personal spending budget. So as you can see, the total money out that we have allocated is $6,400, which means that we have a zero-based budget because our income equals all of our money out. So this budget is ready to go. But let's also talk about how you can maximize working on your financial goals with this budget. And here are some things that I would do to kind of cut back to be able to put more towards these financial goals. First off, groceries. Like I said, this feels a little high, and depending on your family size, that's going to vary. But we can say maybe like $400 instead. Transportation, I honestly feel like this is so high. It could be more like $250, and I feel like that's totally justifiable. Obviously, may depend on what your commute looks like though. Fun and entertainment. This one's always going to have to get cut a bit. If you're really serious about working on these financial goals, this could be more like $100. Miscellaneous, this could even go down a bit more. This is honestly a little bit high. If your miscellaneous is honestly this high, you should be really splitting out those expenses to maybe have a household budget and a beauty budget and things like that if it's really taking up this much room. So we can reduce miscellaneous here down to maybe like $150. And then personal spending, like I said, I get $100 and my husband gets $100, so I think $200 is still super doable. We make a little more than $100,000 a year, so I feel like this is kind of close to where we've been working. So as you can see, we have an extra now $820 in our budget, so we can add this into the savings or debt or whatever that financial goal may be, so $2,100. So that's now 32.81% of the overall budget is going towards a financial goal. So that's how you can break it down and rework your budget if you're really trying to work on a financial goal as soon as possible. So don't forget, if you're wanting to get this budget template, I have it for sale on my shop with that link in the description box down below. And also don't forget to subscribe for more budgeting videos. And I will look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Bye.